The golden light began its descent at precisely 1427 Galactic Standard Time, casting brilliant rays across the crystalline spires of New Geneva Station. The assembled delegates from 47 species fell to their knees, tentacles, or appropriate appendages as the radiance intensified. Hymns in 17 different languages began echoing through the Grand Assembly Hall. Dr. Sarah Chen, humanity's sole representative to the Galactic Council, remained conspicuously upright, tapping her stylus against her datapad with barely concealed irritation. The light coalesced into a figure of impossible beauty, 12 feet tall with skin like polished marble and eyes that held the depth of entire nebulae. When the being spoke, its voice resonated with the harmony of cosmic strings themselves. I am Vel Nazeth, divine arbiter of the seventh celestial realm. I have descended to settle the territorial dispute between the Zephyrian Empire and the hegemony of Kethmor. The assembled aliens gasped in reverent awe. The Zephyrians' crystalline forms chimed like wind bells, while the Kethmor delegation's bioluminescent patches pulsed in synchronized worship. Sarah looked up from her datapad with the expression of someone who had just been informed that her coffee was decaf. Oh, great! Another one! The cosmic silence that followed was so profound that the station's recycling system seemed deafeningly loud. Vel Nazeth's perfect features shifted slightly, the first sign of confusion the deity had shown in 3 millennia of existence. Did the human just dismiss me? No, no, Sarah said, finally standing and brushing imaginary dust from her standard-issue diplomatic uniform. I'm not dismissing you. I'm just wondering if you filed the proper paperwork. Paperwork? The god's voice cracked slightly. Sarah pulled out her stylus and activated a holographic form. Form 27B, Request for Divine Intervention in Territorial Disputes. You'll need to submit it to the Council's Supernatural Affairs Bureau at least 30 galactic days in advance. There's a processing fee of 50 credits, and you'll need 3 character references from verified deities. The Zephyrian ambassador made a sound like breaking glass. Human Chen, you speak to a god. Yeah, and he speaks to me. Equal conversation rights are guaranteed under Article 12 of the Galactic Charter. Sarah didn't look up from her form. Now, Vel Nazeth, is it? Have you considered mediation instead? We have excellent arbitrators on staff, and the waiting list is only 6 months instead of the typical divine response time of, what, several centuries? Vel Nazeth's radiance flickered. Centuries? I came as soon as I received the prayers. It has only been 412 years, Sarah interrupted, consulting her datapad. The original territorial dispute was filed in 2387. It's now 2799. In that time, both the Zephyrian Empire and the Kethmor hegemony have actually resolved their differences, formed a trade alliance, and are now co-developing a joint colony world. The god's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Furthermore, Sarah continued, warming to her subject, your dramatic entrance has disrupted 17 ongoing diplomatic sessions, caused a 3-hour delay in the station's traffic control system, and frankly, your light show triggered seizures in 4 of the Nexari delegates. We're looking at liability issues. But I am divine, Vel Nazeth stammered. So is my grandmother's lasagna, but it doesn't give her the right to break council regulations. Sarah finally looked up, meeting the god's nebula-deep eyes with the steady gaze of someone who had spent 20 years navigating bureaucracy. Look, Vel, can I call you Vel? You seem like a decent cosmic entity, but you can't just show up unannounced and expect to override established legal procedures. The other delegates watched in fascinated horror as their revered deity began to look genuinely distressed. "I don't understand," Velnazeth said. "For eons mortals have summoned me with prayers and offerings. I descend. I render judgment worlds. Tremble! Right, and that's all well and good for pre-spaceflight civilizations," Sarah said, not unkindly. "But we've got a functioning legal system now. Courts, judges, due process. Your whole arbitrary divine judgment thing is, well, it's kind of obsolete." The god's form began to waver. "Obsolete?" "Not obsolete," Sarah said quickly, recognizing the signs of an impending cosmic breakdown. "Just specialized. Look, we could definitely use someone with your skill set in our alternative dispute resolution department. The pay's decent, full benefits, and you'd be helping people in a more structured environment." Velnazeth blinked. "You're offering me a job? Entry level, but there's room for advancement. And think about it. Instead of waiting centuries for prayers to reach you, you could resolve disputes in real time. Much more efficient." The assembled delegates began to murmur among themselves. The concept of a god being recruited for civil service was breaking several theological frameworks simultaneously. The deity paused, his cosmic radiance dimming to a more reasonable fluorescent glow. "I suppose I could review your employee handbook." Sarah smiled and pulled out another form. "Excellent. Just fill out this application and we'll get you started with orientation next week. Fair warning, though. You'll need to dial down the whole divine presence thing during office hours. We have noise ordinances." As Velnazeth accepted the stylus with hands that had once shaped the orbits of planets, the Zephyrian ambassador leaned toward his Kethmore counterpart. "How do humans do that?" he chimed softly. The Kethmore's bioluminescent patches pulsed thoughtfully. "I think they just refuse to be impressed by anything." Meanwhile, Sarah was already moving on to the next item on her agenda, having successfully bureaucratized divinity itself in under 20 minutes. Just another Tuesday in the life of humanity's diplomatic corps.